What's your opinion on the OKKO
It's
episode?
good.
It's not... Fuck you.
Shit. Oh wait. I mean, like I was watching it and I was like, wow. If I was 12, I would fucking orgasm over this shit. But like, it felt like a fan service episode, which like that's fine, right? Like a fan service episode is cool. Like crossover Nexus was pretty cool. This felt like specifically tailored to people who had played every single Sonic game and like knew everything about them, so that they could point out like the little tiny little details, like the little sound effects, or like the light speed dash, or like it didn't feel like it was just made for people who would look at it and be like, oh cool, Sonic. It was made for people who would look at it and jerk off to it probably.
Thank you so much for saying my fucking review in less than a minute, thanks. I appreciate it. Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Manga Rider and I got a nice little video for you this time around. This is a video talking about OKKO's Sonic episode that was released over 2 weeks ago, was the main source of news every Sonic tuber talked about. I feel sorry for these people! And became OKKO's highest viewed episode ever. People from all around liked it, they had fun pointing out all the references the episode made, from the obvious to the obscure, and everyone had a good time with it. And if I'm being completely honest, I was in that group as well. I overall enjoyed the episode and found the references to be very cool, but then after I watched it again and really thought about it, I started to not like it as much as I did. You gotta love trucks, Jesus Christ. But why is that? A Sonic-themed episode in a show that I grew to really like and contains a lot of references that made the 12-year-old in me really happy? Why do I not like it that much anymore? Well, I think this episode's attempt to be this massive love letter to the Sonic franchise ended up becoming its biggest weakness. I'm talking about a lot of biggest weaknesses of it nowadays, aren't I? The episode felt more focused on cramming in as many references as possible that it ended up sacrificing the quality of the episode as a whole. What makes OKKO an amazing show for me is that it does a great job at getting a lot of information out in the span of just 11 minutes, meaning that you can remember each episode far more because a lot of stuff happened in them. With the Sonic episode, however, nothing really happens in those 11 minutes. The entire episode can literally be summed up with KO meets Sonic, Tails gets jealous, Rad and Enid get kidnapped by Boxman, KO transforms into Metal KO, and Sonic and Tails save the day. There, I just summed up everything that happened in the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, you're welcome. Just saved you 11 minutes of your life. But if you were to go to other episodes in OKKO, you would have a much harder time trying to sum up what happened in each episode. Take the episode You Have to Care, for example. If I were to give you the bare minimum of what happened in that episode, it would be like this. Enid's childhood friend Elodie comes to the plaza. Enid and Elodie have bad blood between them because Elodie betrayed Enid to get into the school point. Enid fights Elodie, ends up defeating her, and the episode ends. However, that's not all the information that was handed out in that specific episode. The episode also showed why Enid has become who she is today. It showed why Elodie is such a capable fighter because she learned all her moves from Enid's moves and learned how to counter them. It showed what kind of personality is behind the scenes and the way she functions, choosing glamour and fame over friendship, but has never really let go of the past. It showed that Enid has evolved her fighting and she's much stronger and wittier than she was before. And to top all that off, the episode showed Enid and Elodie's friendship to be far more complex than just a bitter rivalry. There's probably more I'm missing from that episode, but you get the idea. OKKO's episodes are far more complex than they let on, but Sonic's episode? It was just really bland in terms of story. Even with the quote-unquote emotional scenes like Tails explaining his backstory or KO learning the spin dash, it comes off as pointless as we already know this part of Tails' backstory and we already know that KO cares about his friends. But Manga Rider, it might get some people into the Sonic franchise. OKKO's Sonic episode became the highest viewed episode of all time. I can guarantee you that at least 95% of those people were Sonic fans. But what I think is the worst part about Sonic's episode is that it just feels like, well, a giant inside joke. 95% of these references are references that only the most diehard Sonic fans would get. Of all the fucking things to reference, why Sonic Blast? Ask yourself this question. If you weren't a Sonic fan, how many references would you have gotten? My guess is that you would probably get only about 5 or 7 of them, and those are the most blatantly obvious ones. When I watched the episode a few times and started counting up the references, I got at least 71 references. If you were to put that into a math equation, the episode is 11 minutes, which adds up to 660 seconds, divide that by 71, and you get a Sonic reference every 9.29577464779 seconds. Don't you think that's a little much? If I can go ahead and make a video explaining every single reference this episode contains and it turned out longer than the episode itself, that isn't really a good sign. No beef against this person, by the way, I'm just making a point. Now I shall ask you another question. If you weren't a Sonic fan, would you have liked this episode as much as a Sonic fan did? I know I can't answer for you, this video overall is pretty subjective, but when I put all my Sonic bias aside and watched the episode for what it actually was, I ended up being a little bored. Sure, the animation was as top-notch as ever, but everything else just fell flat. Because what I think is the fatal flaw in OKKO's Sonic episode is that it didn't really have fun with itself. It never made any jabs at the Sonic franchise or had any form of self-awareness whenever Sonic was on screen, making the crossover more about him than anybody else in the show. And why didn't they do that? The show was very self-aware for how insane it is. Making fun of Sonic would have just made sense. Why didn't they go down the route of the Captain Planet crossover? Sure, they kept to the source material, but there were plenty of jokes that actually made fun of the absurdity that was Captain Planet. And the show even went out of its way to evolve the source material's message into a better one about the environment, and making fun of the entire idea of one thing saving the planet as being ridiculous. The Captain Planet crossover was how OKKO should have done the Sonic crossover, and the fact that they didn't was pretty disappointing. This episode was just way too safe and was a prime example on how not to do a good crossover. And because this episode became the highest viewed episode in the series, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. However, because it's the highest viewed episode and now a lot of people know about OKKO, I implore you to give the show a chance. Please, the show is so much better than what the Sonic episode showed off. The show's concept is superheroes living normal lives, and it's one of the most interesting shows that Cartoon Network is putting out right now. It's literally like Steven Universe without the shitty filler. Please, watch the show. I am begging you. You'll love the surprisingly deep story, the gorgeous over-the-top animation, and you'll want to bury yourself for every character in this show. And because you haven't seen OKKO yet, you don't understand the genius behind my last sentence. Okay, that's enough from me. Jesus Christ, calm down. My name is Manga Rider, fuck the Sonic episode, and watch the rest of OKKO instead. I guarantee you that you will end up enjoying it. OKKO, you'll fight to the end. You are my best friend, let's be heroes. OKKO, let's start the show.